Hey, good morning. Good morning. All right, thank you, first of all. I know you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, is that a command sergeant major? What's going on here? First of all, I want to just say, God gives us just exactly what we need, right? I mean, it could be 95 degrees out here and sitting here and sweating and just all heat. And we got a nice little mist. We got a nice little cool breeze. Amen. It's just a beautiful day. It really is. And I don't know if you caught on that national anthem, but just as she finished that in the home of the brave, did you notice the flag in the U.S. and how it just blew out? Everything blew. Perfect timing on that. I mean, that's just perfect and it's beautiful. So I want to say what a beautiful day to be here. Under these, this occasion of Memorial Day and recognizing those that have, gone before us and paved the ultimate sacrifice of their lives. And that's just what this is about. There was this note that came around that talked about how do you honor Memorial Day? First of all, there's nothing happy about it, right? So saying Happy Memorial Day doesn't really fit the bill. It's a day to really pay tribute to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. And oftentimes in the crowd, majority of the family members here or personnel here know someone or someone close to them that has, made the ultimate sacrifice and died in the line of duty. Now let's take me for instance. As a command sergeant major, I'm not in my uniform, as you can clearly see. That nice picture you see in my bio there. One of the things I did, I'm a volunteer firefighter, as you see, and I found solitude in doing this. And just last night, I was actually on duty. I got off this. My plan was to get off at 8 o'clock this morning, go home, change, suit up, grab my family. My wife and daughter are right here this morning with me, and we were headed up here. But I had a 7:30 call, and it was a gas leak. And so we jump in the fire truck, we drive over, and this gas leak went from about 15 minutes to about 45 minutes. Matter of fact, they're still there. So I had to call one of the other drivers to come in and kind of relieve me so I could get out of there and get up here to be a part of this. Because one thing I didn't want to do is miss this. And then I thought as I was going to the house, would I have time to change? And then I realized, this is probably the most appropriate uniform I can be in today for this affair. Because this is actually what I do. The military teaches us how to take a life. Let's just call it a day. That's the bottom line of what we do. You join the military to protect this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's what that's about. The fire department and the first responding service teaches you to save a life. And the time I've been in that for the last 7 years, I personally can call 3 lives that I saved. And I just want to tell you about one in particular. I was at the gym just getting a simple workout, and this gentleman walked up to me, and he knew that I was a firefighter, and he said, "Vic, I don't feel good." I said, "All right, Ray." Ray's a 63-year-old guy, great shape. I mean, you would never know it. Great shape. Walked up to me and says, "You don't feel good." I said, "Okay, Ray, have a seat, sit down. Let's just check you out. You were just over here lifting weights. Maybe you lift too much, got a little, brain rush of oxygen to the brain, and just a little dizzy." Then he says, "Vic, I'm getting dizzy." And then he falls on me, and he dies. Like, he dies. But I've been doing this for 7 years. I've been doing CPR for a very long time. So muscle memory kicked in just like military training kicks in. And I went for a pulse. There was no pulse. I instantly started CPR. The one thing about the gym is they have AEDs, defibrillators, right? So my lifeguard shows up, young kid, 16 years old, jumps right into action, rips the shirt off, throws the pads on. I'm in my CPR, second round of compressions. System advises for a shock, which is something you don't see in training. So he didn't see that because he's a lifeguard in training, or he's, when we do the training, there's never a real shock advised. It says shock advised. He looked at me. I never did this part. Hey, hit him, right? So he hits him. Boom. Body jumps. I get back into my third round of compressions. He opens his eyes. He takes a deep breath. And I said, wow. Yes, ma'am. I said, wow, I just witnessed this man take his second first breath in life, right? Which clearly told me that as I looked at my time in the military, and I buried a lot of my brothers and sisters. I've dealt with suicides. I've buried some from suicide, and I just thought to myself, man, people always want to hear stories about military taking lives. What a great story to tell you about saving one. You know. Okay, so I'm here to tell you, in my time in the military, there's a list of names. I always say, someone told me once before that you honor the dead and you keep them continued living by saying their names. If you can say their names once a year, then you're bringing them with you into the new year. And in my time in the military, you know, my names are John Banks. My names are Walt Moore. My names are Richard Enlow. My names are, you know, the helicopter crew, Colonel Kelly, Sergeant Major Holler, Sergeant First Class Lake. These are a group of individuals that I personally knew, that I personally had to attend their burials, which was a personal tragedy to me because it meant too much to me as their leader, and then I have to bury them. One thing that you got to understand about leadership, and maybe you do understand this, is that, you know, when someone takes their life or you lose someone to, you know, the mission, something in the military, the mission, you know, there's a personal responsibility that you feel. Because you feel like you weren't there for them, and you could have been there for them and done something for them. And it's a real tough pill to swallow, you know, and it sits with you and it just kind of marinates there for forever, for a long time. So I experienced these things with these individuals. And in particular, one of the gentlemen was John Banks, who was just out training. He was just out training like we do in the military. He was running, and we didn't hear from him all day. And then they found him in the morgue at the end of the day. John Banks had a heart attack on a trail, and nobody was there to catch it. You know, they didn't film. They didn't even find him. And by the time they did find him, no one knew who he was because they didn't carry ID on him. You know, there was no ID on him. So we went through a full day until we got a call that evening, checking morgues, because at the end of the day, you just start checking morgues. That's just what you do. And that's where they found him, which was very unfortunate. And that one stuck with me the most because, you know, we always run together. We always train together, and I wasn't there with him that day. I don't know what I had going on, but I just felt like I should have been there for that, you know. And so this day just reminds me of my brotherhood, my sisterhood, and those that, you know, man, I do miss them. I miss these guys, you know. But I understand how this whole thing works and how it plays out. And I would just leave a message with you that just says, I've really found solitude in myself in continuing service. That's just been my what I call the success part of my life. The fact that I still continue to give back. As a matter of fact, I'm going to leave here and go back to the fire department. I know what you're saying. Your wife allowed you to do that stuff all day like this? Well, you know, my wife was a military police. And so we met in Germany, by the way, and so she gets it, you know, and there's a balance there. There has to be, because otherwise, you know, an idle mind is a devil's playground, correct? And so I try to keep that part of my mind active, and I recognize my service is continued service, and I'm doing it in the community. So if I was going to give one plug to everyone in here, it's that if you were sitting around and you have some time and you really feel there's more that you need to be doing, go check out your local volunteer fire department, all right? There's always work there for you to do that, all right? I'm going to end there, so thank you very much for your time, folks.